Hello, social media. Hello to all of you out there. I hope your day is going well. Happy Thursday. It is June 5th and it's 9:12 p.m. So, hello to all of you out there. I am so happy that you have joined me on today. So, welcome to Lakitatsharpe's famous exclusive inspirational channel, and welcome to one of the greatest shows in the universe. So I am so happy that you guys are with me on today. So check out my books over at Amazon.com. There are over 100 books for you to choose from over at Amazon.com. And one of my books that's related to this video is titled Setting Healthy Boundaries, Relationships That Make You Feel Bad and Out of Control. So I have posted that book on the screen. So if you want to purchase it over at Amazon.com, you can. So I want to say to you that the title of this message is No Longer Being Their Doormat and Setting Healthy Boundaries. You know, when you think of a doormat, you think of a doormat where it's a mat where people just walk on top of you. You know, people, when you think of a mat, what you think about, a doormat is something that you walk on top of, So basically, as I'm talking in these messages, we're saying that you're no longer being their doormat and setting healthy boundaries. So you might be at a place where you have elevated and, people have been using you. You have certain relationship in your life that just has been using you and using you and using you some more. And they only there in your life to use you. They're not there for anything else. They're only there for what you can do for them, and that's it. So when it works for them, then they're all for you. And when it doesn't work for them anymore, then they're not for you. You may have been giving your all, and you feel depleted. Because, maybe this person is using you so bad. They're just using you, taking advantage of you. I had a relationship that I had to literally block out of my life, and I had to really think about this relationship because it's someone that I love. But the thing is that this person was literally, just taking me, almost like using me like I am just using me, should I say. And there's a thing about being used. It's good when you have to give or to use, but there's a place where it's like, okay, this is just too much. But anyway, the relationship it was starting to make me feel a certain way. It started to make me feel, bad. It started to make me feel, a certain way. And it was more negative feelings than it was positive feelings. So I really had to step away and take an assessment of my life and see where this relationship stood, and it was a very important relationship. So I say, okay, well, this is someone that I'm going to have to love from a distance because, they are really, using me up like I am some water, and it's like, pretty much it's like taking me for granted. And at one time, this person I did so much for this person, and literally they turned around and treated me like I didn't even matter, treated me like I didn't do anything to them, like nothing I did for them mattered. After I done bent over backwards for this person, for them to turn around and bite me, bite the hand that feed them. So yes, I had to take an assessment. So you might be a place in your life where, you got people that's using you, people that's just using you up. There's some relationships I had to really think about before I allow it to enter my life, because I really could feel like these are relationships that are just using me for what they want to get out of me, and pretty much that's it. It's more of what they can get out of me than anything. So, you might be at a situation where you're going to have to create healthy boundaries. You're going to have to create, some healthy boundaries for you. And in my book titled Setting Healthy Boundaries, Relationships That Make You Feel Bad and Out of Control, check out that book over at Amazon.com. You can get it right now. It is available for you. You would be amazed that when you take an assessment of your life, how you feel and how much better you feel, when you start to step away and look at your life and look at the relationships around you and look at, who's in your life and take an assessment, why are they there? Some relationships you have that's kind of, they might be negative relationships, but then they are your sister, your brother, your mom, or your dad. So it's like you gotta keep that's a situation where you gotta create some healthy boundaries for yourself, niece or nephew, and you gotta create some healthy boundaries for yourself. So I am here to say to you that it's nothing wrong if you want to step away from the relationship and take an assessment and say, this relationship is not working out for me. I am going to have to love you from a distance. So that's one of those situations where you're going to say, I'm going to have to love you from a distance, and that's what you might have to do, in this relationship, because when you start elevating too, when you're working on your success, you start getting better, you start growing, you start, becoming a success, you start growing, you got people, and you start taking, your life, and you're like, what, hey, I have boundaries now. You no longer can use me and toss me here, from, and there like you used to. I am setting boundaries for myself. So now people are like probably upset with you, and now they're making you seem like you're the bad guy, because why? You're setting healthy boundaries for yourself. And there is nothing wrong. You may feel bad because you want to help them, you want to do for them, but don't let that feeling drag you back being a doormat to somebody, because you don't want to be nobody's doormat where they just running on top of you and they just using you here and there like they just a doormat. You have no boundary set. So being that you a nice and kind person, you're going to have to set some boundaries, and some healthy boundaries, which is something that me and my doctor, when we're speaking about, setting healthy boundaries, it's your money. You can bless who you want to bless. You can give to whoever you want to give to. It is your money. It is your time. You can choose to spend your time wherever you want to spend it. It's your car. You can choose to give a person a ride, or if you don't, if you wish, or whatever. It's your energy. You can choose to spend your energy where you want to spend your energy, right? So that's what you have to, look at. It is yours and it belongs to you, and you don't have to do anything you don't want to. You can do it out of the kindness of your heart. It's like it's setting those boundaries, those necessary boundaries, and when we think about boundaries, we thinking about a line. When we think about boundaries, you think about a lines that can't be crossed. You have this boundary set, and you're like, okay, this is overstepping my boundaries. This is overstepping my boundaries, and you have to, my husband used to say to me that, hey, my father taught me, don't be nobody's fool. Don't be nobody's fool. So I'm here to tell you and spread the message. Don't be nobody's fool. So I hope you are taking this message in accountability, and you are really listening, no longer being their doormat, and setting healthy boundaries. Yeah, they like you. They like you just as long as you're doing what they wanted you to do. Oh yeah, when you're in line and you're doing everything they want you to do, oh, they like you. But the moment you stand up for yourself, the moment you say, no, they are no longer in control and you are in control, you're going to find out that, hey, now they don't hardly like you no more. Now that father who always, controlled you, and now you standing up for yourself. Now you are in control now, So that means that guess what? guess what? So now you are taking control of you now. You're standing up for yourself. You're having control, okay? When people no longer can play those mind games, when people no longer can manipulate you, yeah, they're going to get mad. They're going to get mad because they no longer can use you the way they used to use you. I would be amazed at how many people in my life tried to manipulate me, in my lifetime, tried to manipulate me, being that I am a nice person, I am a kind person, I am a generous person. And I know it's been people in my very own life that I love very much that manipulated me to do what they want to do. And I'm here to stand up for myself. No, I have boundaries. So you got to set up some healthy boundaries for yourself. No, they can't no longer use you the way they used to use you. No, I am not nobody's doormat. So this title of this message is no longer being their doormat and setting healthy boundaries for yourself. And I hope you take this message and start looking at your life and looking like, looking around you at the relationships around you. Is this person using me just to be used? It's good to know that, hey, you're like the sun, and the sun, we use the sun, right, for the energy it gives us, it makes you feel good when you're around the sun, right? And sorry, something in my eye, but the sun, is used, and we use the sun, right? So it's okay to be used, but it's like you got to have boundaries set up so it's not, it's healthy boundaries. Remember, it is your choice. It is your choice in this matter. Your choice. Like I say, it's your money, your time, your energy, your resources, and you can do what you want with your food, with whatever it is. And like I said again, the title of this video, no longer being their doormat and setting healthy boundaries. Okay? So yes, it's time for you to take an assessment, look at the relationships around you, and it's like, what are they? Are they giving back to you as you give? Even though we're supposed to give and not expect anything back. But, how does this relationship make you feel? Does it make you feel bad? Is it making you feel more bad than good? I have relationships in my life that ever since they came into my life, it brought more negative than it brought more positive. You get what I'm saying? Brought more negative feelings than it brought more positive feelings. So you got to think about that. Some things need to change. You got to be like, look, if you want, sometimes you got to say, if you want me in your life, you're going to have to change your ways. You're going to have to change some things. There's been some times where I just put up with anything in my relationship. I put up with anything, and I'm like, hey, you can step on me as much as you want. Hey, I'm not going anywhere. You can not hit me and punch me in the face, but you can treat me how you want. I love you. I'm not going anywhere. No, don't ever be like that you putting up with anything just because you love somebody. No, you got to set up some healthy boundaries. Am I talking good or what? Okay, so anyway, you guys check out my book, Setting Healthy Boundaries, Relationships That Make You Feel Bad and Out of Control. You can purchase that book right now at Amazon.com. I am running out of time. I will see you guys in the next video, and happy Thursday. Love you guys. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.